Welcome to the Underground Temple. My name is Hayashi. In this video, I'm going to take a brief look at the Sanchin Kata, one of Okinawa's most essential, dynamic, and intriguing forms. To start, Sanchin is one of the most misunderstood kata in the mainstream martial art community. Why is this? Sanchin's best-kept secret, even today, is that this form was not designed to exclusively exercise the physical body, but to activate the subtle energy body, a collective of biofield phenomena called chi or ki in Asia. Sanchin is an advanced KIKO form. Its primary purpose is to teach one how to gather, to cultivate, and to manipulate one's own biofield or ki energy, then progress to controlling the biofield or ki energy of an opponent. KIKO literally means spirit breath, or the movement of spirit. KIKO is an Okinawan term used to distinguish between martial technique that focuses mainly on the body's biomechanical functions versus martial technique that focuses on applying ki principles or bioenergetics. I realize that this is an entirely new way for many martial artists to think about Sanchin Kata. But this is an emerging new language that speaks to the very heart of martial arts, whether you study Chinese, Okinawan, Japanese, or Korean systems. Without this language, your martial arts can still be fun, they can be challenging, they can be powerful, even triumphant in contests. But KIKO principles will fully activate and elevate any form, any technique from any martial system or culture if it's not already inherent in the practice. What the ancient masters called ki, chi, or prana, quantum physicists and scientists today are now referring to as the human biofield. It should be noted that no conclusive studies anywhere in the world have yet proven exactly what ki or the human biofield entirely consists of. However, many cultures, particularly the Asian martial, monastic, and medical cultures, have been studying its behavior for centuries. With a deep knowledge of how the human bioenergy fields interact with one another, martial masters created kata, an insightful time capsule of lessons that were to be felt kinesthetically, lessons in martial depth and dimensionality that the Western world is just beginning to scratch the surface of. There is a complex system of radiating energies, electromagnetic, auric, photonic, protonic fields, circulating both around and inside the body. This flow can become stagnant, bottlenecked, or overabundant. To remedy this problem, Sanchin Kata offers a simple movement method devised to gently shake the joints, to distribute this energy evenly to all the fascial tissues, muscles, organs, and the brain. All the major joints are gently rotated, extended, and retracted through a natural range of motion in the Sanchin form. These actions also serve to mechanically pump ki to different parts of the body in a specific and sequential fashion. Ki-vitalized muscles are then tested by slapping, striking, pressing, or pushing to assure that the ki flows properly to the specified musculature. Such tests in Okinawa are called KITAE or SHIMAI. Beginning students of biofield-focused training will often see the instant and dramatic results of their ki-filled technique. However, most practitioners may not feel any discernible intrinsic energy such as ki until much later stages in training. Sanchin then is practiced in phases. The form has a tiered, multiple agenda, not simply a singular or sole purpose. Sanchin is not just a breathing form, or just a dynamic tension form, or just a tension relaxation training, or just a meditation. It's an integration of all of the above. Amongst its many lessons, KIKO addresses the fact that the right and left sides of the body display uniquely differing energetic fingerprints. For example, the left foot forward crescent action, selected as the first step in some variations of the Sanchin Kata, is considered a yin motion. Yin motions draw energy inward into the body from the surroundings, including from an opponent in close proximity. Unlike a right foot forward Sanchin stance, which is considered a yang motion or energy out action. Sanchin's stance resulted from the brilliant observation that the advantages of the left foot yin action energy in could be duplicated with the right foot if the right foot was turned inward 45 degrees and certain rules of limb proportionality were followed. We can prove that the Sanchin Dachi is useless purely as a firm tripodic base or fighting form if the energy channels are not properly regulated. This energy gating system can be manipulated either mechanically or mentally through the use of specific visualizations. This aspect of Sanchin Kata is considered its inner form, as opposed to its obvious outer expression of stance, blocks, and strikes. Ideally, an accord between mental focus, correct physical postures, and actions must be equally applied. In Sanchin's first stage of training, we have a perfectly tuned mechanical gating system. The ki channels, or meridian flow, acts like a series of levees or dams to contain, to gather, or to distribute ki through and around the body. Sanchin's KIKO principles require a specific proportionality in limb positioning, movement sequencing, and timing. Particular breathing patterns are combined with physical motion and selected mental foci. This interior framework of Sanchin is an attribute that gives it the distinction of being a martial yoga, a fact also recognized by significant Asian masters. We could then say that we have a moving martial asana in Sanchin using simple, natural, non-stressful limb actions, unlike many yogic postures which can impose extreme body positioning. Why is the Sanchin Kata so prized? If Sanchin is performed correctly, the body's musculature is quickly vitalized and noticeably strengthened. Awareness and activation of its principles gives one a decided advantage over someone using only a technique's surface biomechanics. Sanchin's KIKO effects on another person are simply not believable on camera. KIKO techniques of defense or offense become extraordinarily powerful. Also, there are many subtle variables that contribute to KIKO technique either working well or not working at all. These considerations need to be explained by a competent teacher familiar with the subject, in the same way that a good sensei will point out subtle improvements of basic striking or blocking. The most essential Sanchin Kata variations strive for similar outcomes. However, they rearrange the energy gating formula, leading to slight variations in the biomechanics. Therefore, it's less important to ask why other Sanchins differ in execution from yours than to understand the precise rationality behind the Sanchin that you practice. When we look at all the different variations of Sanchin Kata, we can divide them into two distinct classifications. Those who are performing Sanchin without knowledge of KIKO principles, and those who are performing Sanchin Kata consciously with the knowledge of KIKO principles. Now, in this latter categorization, we have different variations of the form, different formulas for positioning the hands or the feet. For example, in the system that I teach, Shinkenpo, we take a wider Sanchin stance. To do the wider Sanchin stance, it's only necessary to turn the lead foot in about 45 degrees. The narrower stance, like you might find in the Weichi-ryu or the Isshin-ryu kata, will have a shoulder width that falls to the outside of the feet. where in the case of Ishin Kempo, we'll have a shoulder width positioning that falls to the inside of the feet. This distinguishes the way chi is flowing by following precise limb proportionality. There is a very specific way to step in the Seizan Dachi. The back leg, which is moving forward in that crescent arc, must cross just to the inside half of the supporting leg in order to take advantage of the chi pumping action. One of the more baffling aspects of kata to the novice performer is why certain movement patterns are repeated in series of 2s or 3s and so on. When it comes to a Sanchin Kata performance, for example, why are there X number of spears? Would it matter if there were one less or one more? The variation that I did is from the Ishin-Ryu system, the short version of Sanchin. Well, the number of repetitions is considered a kind of switching mechanism, like a binary code, where you have ones or zeros. We could replace a 1 with yang energy and a 0 with yin energy. So ideally, when you're performing a kata, we want the switching mechanism to be on, energy in, out, energy out, on again, so that we always end up more energized than when we started. So this is the reason you're going to see, at least from a KIKO or Qigong standpoint, repetitions falling into sequences of 3s, 6s, or 9s. Sanchin Kata was meant to be done slowly. You could adapt it to a fighting form and do it quickly and probably come up with some decent block strike applications or grappling applications. But from the KIKO standpoint, the form should be done rhythmically. If it's done too quickly, the energy tends to get bottled up unless you're an advanced performer and used to moving your energy fast. So you want to do it on a nice even pace of breath in, breath out, not rushing yourself. If you're feeling rushed, you're absolutely bottling your energies up. There's so many nuances to Sanchin Kata that it would be impossible to point them all out in a short period of time or in a short video. We've got rising and falling, motions forward and backward, different joints functioning in specific sequences. All of this has to be understood in the context of how energy is moving through the body. As I've stated before, when we have the proper sequencing and timing and rhythm, we get extraordinary power. The most common type of Sanchin that we're seeing in the United States would be what we would call the go version or the hard version, where there's extreme muscular tension taking place throughout the form. But there are Ju versions or soft versions of the kata, more commonly practiced in Asia, in which the focus is less on the external tensing and more on the internal manipulation of energy, which often has to be pointed out by a competent instructor. There's lots of variations of Sanchin, as I've mentioned. All of these variations are dependent upon how knowledgeable the instructor is in teaching it to you, whether that instructor is aware of KIKO principles or Qigong principles or not. I'd love to hear what you all are doing with this amazing kata. If you're confused or have questions about your Sanchin practice or would like to know more about Sanchin's KIKO value, feel free to contact me. I'll be happy to clarify some of the distinctions I've made in this video. I'll post answers to any questions on my blog at ishinkempo.com, or you can write me at windschool@earthlink.net. Thank you.